Let's think about presentations because it's our world here.
Right.
Much better if you need to plan a presentation instead of just opening up PowerPoint or any other presentation tool. If instead you draw something, or if you're planning by using a flip chart as you did in that session, or using a whiteboard, or you also talk about the power of napkins.
Yes.
It's so planning analog is, if you forget the technology at this stage, is so powerful. Again, why is that? I don't know whether you have a scientific explanation or just based on your experience, but what is it about an analog approach that makes it so impactful?
What it allows you to do, again, not even scientific, but just a reality, you have all these ideas in your head. Life is complex and overwhelming and messy. When you get it, one of my mantras is, how do you get people to see what you're saying? That's the foundation of visual leadership, right? How do you get others to see what you're saying if you can't even see what you're saying for yourself, right? So one of the ways to do that, if you could kind of do a data dump, a brain dump of what's in your head, get it on paper in any format, index cards, Post-it notes, pen and paper, then you could see it. Then you could say, so what I usually do is get all these ideas out of my head when I'm designing a workshop or a presentation. Then I look at it. Then you can move the pieces around. Then you can say, all right, here's some ideas. What's the right sequence and structure? So one is using mind mapping, right? You start with a central idea and then build out from there and in different directions. And you may say, based on the constraints of how much time I have, who's my audience, what's my purpose? And I'll talk about my three-legged stool model in just a minute because those are some of the key components. Then you could say, all right, based on that, what metaphors should I use? What stories should I tell? And then in terms of the sequence, then doing a storyboard. So if you can mind map your content so that you're doing divergent thinking, you're basically starting with an idea and expanding. That's divergent, going on different directions. Convergent thinking is the next step where you bring it back together and say, of all these things, what am I going to focus on? And then what structure, what's the sequence, right? And there you could lay out a storyboard, and that storyboard becomes the template for your presentation, right? So when you do get to open up your PowerPoint document, you basically have it sketched out on paper. It makes it a lot easier to create the slides. This is a mistake a lot of us make.